brilliant. Brilliant for Kulusevski, who needed it, and brilliant for Richarlison. What you've seen of the highlights? What did you make of Richarlison's impact?
What it's just incredible, isn't it? For someone that's supposedly devoid of confidence, and has had such a difficult week. He's obviously been pictured in tears on the Brazil bench, not quite working out for him. He's only scored one Premier League goal since joining the club for £60 million, and there's even an Arsenal fan in our office who still claims that he it shouldn't have been awarded that goal against Liverpool. It's you struggle to work out where he's found that from, don't you? Sometimes you don't quite know how footballers can kind of find these moments from the depths of themselves, essentially, to put in that kind of performance, particularly when he wants to start the game. Obviously, Harry Kane left in the summer. He thinks, oh, here's my opportunity to be the number 9, as it were, and he's kind of been put on the bench one game and seen Sonny score a hat-trick when he's played through the middle, and he's probably thinking, my God, what happens now? What do I do now? So yeah, I've seen little moments from him. I was with Guesty, obviously, at the Bournemouth game a few weeks back when you were in Italy, and I thought Richarlison was a little bit. Yes, a scouting trip,
not holiday.
Who were you scouting?
That would have been anyone at Torino, probably. There was a Torino defender, wasn't there? Who's
it was Per Schurz, wasn't it?
Schurz, that's it. Yeah, we'll say it was him.
Yeah, okay. There were moments in that Bournemouth game where there was just some nice little touches from Richarlison. He wasn't doing the centre forward play that he had that big chance. He had a little bit of skill where he took round the goalkeeper as well, and the defender came and stopped him from scoring. Obviously, there were little moments, and I've seen that a lot in a lot of games. There are just, and they are. It's unfortunate they are only moments, and he needs a bit more than that. And hopefully now, that was 2 very big moments on Saturday, and hopefully he can kickstart his Tottenham career, and we can really see the best of him, because he's been brilliant at Watford. He's been brilliant at a poor Everton team. Sorry, Guesty. And now we want him to be brilliant at Spurs. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that happens. And what better way to really get going than by scoring the winner in the North London derby next weekend?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. It's exactly that. You wonder where they conjure these moments from. It wasn't in keeping with what had come before, and it was just so much needed. It really was. He's had a rubbish time. Let's be honest. He was a £60 million player that scored up to that point 1 Premier League goal for the club. He'd had injuries. There've been various issues for him, and he admitted the other day, after they you could see him on international duty, looking quite visibly upset on the bench, that he's had the last 5 months or so have been really difficult for him with off the field stuff. The Brazilian media reported that one of his kind of long time, I don't know how you describe them, advisors, financial persons, agent, kind of all of the above, manager, whatever you want to call it, who'd been with him since the very, very early days of his career. He'd lived with him at times, as in Richarlison had lived with this chap and his family. So they were that close. They parted ways. And I think that's been a really difficult thing. I think there's, I don't think it was the most the most friendliest of parting of ways either. And it's just one of those examples of you just don't know what's going on in the background. And then for him to actually say, it's behind me now, but I still want to talk to a psychologist and really talk through this and the process of it and everything. So he had everyone kind of rooting for him, which is fantastic, as it should be, let's be honest. And then to come off the bench, I'll tell you what though, the 10-15 minutes before he came on, he was down that touchline. He didn't come off the touchline. He was told to warm up, and he was clearly said, I'm staying here. And he just kept looking at the bench. At one point, he kind of made this symbol, almost like the substitution symbol to them. It's like, are you trying to tell Postecoglou to bring you on? Because that's not the way it's going to happen. I don't know. It may have just been anyone else on the bench. And then eventually got the nod, and they came on as like a triple threat, didn't they? Him, Perisic, and Brennan Johnson. And it completely changed the game. It did. And we're going to talk about the subs and when they were made and stuff like that in a bit. But for Richarlison, it was just ideal. He just looked on it from the start. He was like the focal point suddenly, because that's the thing about Sonny. Sonny is fantastic through the centre, but in a different way. With Richarlison, he's going to be up there as more of a target man, focal point type. And within a couple of minutes, he'd headed over a Porro cross just over the bar, and then we had that another lovely Perisic delivery, and Richarlison heads it home. And although you could see the desire to get the game going again, because there was this feeling within the stadium, if they can get one, they're going to get a second. And obviously it came to pass to be that way. But even with Richarlison, as Højbjerg grabbed the ball out of the net and they're running back towards the halfway line, and you could just see Richarlison is like, he really is celebrating, but in the most measured way he possibly can as he's going back to the halfway line. And just after the game, because obviously then provided a really nice run and weighted pass to Kulusevski to score that winning goal. And just watching them at the end of the game, Eric Dyer went straight over to him. He's almost banging him on the back, Romero style, kind of just congratulating him. And then Fraser Forster was doing similar. Porro went to him, Son went to him, and then obviously they had linked arms and went up the pitch and did that celebration in front of the fans. And Sonny's pushing Richarlison to the front. Had some nice Sonny quotes that went up today, actually, talking about how, they're a family. And when someone's suffering within there, they all just want the best for him. And everyone, Kulusevski after the game was talking about Richarlison, just how funny a character he is within the group and how they just all want him to do well and how he is a terrific player. He's just obviously had confidence issues and it happens. And Sonny kind of touched on that as if that's something that's happened to him last season at points. He had confidence issues for probably differing reasons. Mainly playing in a system that was pretty much nullifying anything good he did.
Going backwards 70 meters wasn't his quote.
Pretty much, exactly that, yeah. But yeah, brilliant for Richarlison. So happy. They tried the journalists in the mix zone, including Guesty, tried to stop him after and see if he'd talk, and he just went, "Oh, soon," because his English isn't quite there yet after almost 8 years. I think it is in England. Still got to do a bit more of the Duolingo lessons. But yeah, fair play to him. What a brilliant end to the week. And Guesty was very, very happy for him in the press box. You could tell he was as happy as Richarlison was.
I bet he was.
Yeah, that's probably the happiest I've ever seen Guesty at a Spurs goal, to be honest. But yeah,
it was a classic Richarlison goal, really, wasn't it? The movement
absolutely.
And just the header from a corner is that's what he was signed for, really.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing that I do wonder whether it's going to start becoming a thing. Is like, is he going to score as many with his feet? Because he definitely is so dangerous in the air, and is that pretty much goes against the archetype of a Brazilian kind of number 9 as well? Surely, we should see more with his feet, really.
Yeah.
But that's to come.